Hi, welcome to Hospitality Live with Rupesh. Each week, we feature an industry leader that will share the latest trends and the best strategies to help you grow. Now, welcome your host, Rupesh Patel.
We're here. We are here. We're live.
Good morning.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
Let me get this music. Let me turn this music off. Come on, turn it off.
Come on. We've got the party going in the morning.
Hey. Hey, guys, welcome to the show. Are we live? Comment if you can see us live and if this is working. Every week I have an issue with my, hang on. Oh, we're live. Every week I have an issue, Sarah, with my internet. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but almost every week I have an issue with it. And I don't think it's my service. I think someone's screwing with me. That's what I really think.
I mean, it could also be user error, not pointing fingers.
I think it might be user error. My kids make fun of me because I'm like, we're live on the intranets. And after the show, they watch it and they're like, Dad, come on, really?
Internet's plural. Come on, Dad. Facepalm.
Guys, comment and let us know where you're watching from. Yes, we are live. Good morning. And this is Sarah. Sarah, please introduce yourself. I know you as the TV host, and I don't even want to mess it up. I'm just going to say you're a hospitality expert and that you know a lot of stuff, and you're great for this topic. Today's topic is Road to Recovery, 10 traits of a great hotel front desk associate. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. So I'll just give you guys a brief introduction as far as who I am. I've worked in hotels for over 19 years, and some of the top brands of hotels like Four Seasons, Peninsula, even L'Hermitage, which was like a Raffles property at the time, and then also Fairmont, and then now in a more recently in a boutique hotel in West Hollywood. So when it comes to hotels, I definitely know a thing or two, and I've worked as a Les Clés d'Or concierge. So if you have been in a higher end hotel, you might see a concierge that has gold keys on their lapels. I would be one of those, and I actually won an award with them, Best Young Concierge in the World, a couple of years ago. And I absolutely have to say I work very closely with the front desk, and I have a lot to say about all these great traits of a good front desk agent.
Right. And you say in your bio, I actually read your bio, and you said, I was like, hey, send me a bio. And it says, it's kind of like winning this award is kind of like winning Miss Universe. Is that true?
The Miss Universe of concierge. I mean, that's a good way to describe it generally for people that aren't in the industry, so that they understand, because I represented the United States. So I was like the Miss USA of concierge, and then competed internationally and won. So that's kind of a big deal.
That's awesome. Well, today's show is like right up your alley. It's, it's a show about traits. And guys, this is for leaders. That's not only for the front desk if you're working at the front desk, but it's also for the leadership at your hotel and hotels nationwide, worldwide. It's really never making a hiring mistake if you're not using these 10 traits, right? It's also building a great team. So once you learn these traits, you could possibly have an awesome team, and make sure you have this episode shared with your entire team because they want to learn too. And Sarah, tell us about, you're a TV host, you've been on all these different shows. Like, I want to learn about that before we get dive into the kind of the main topic today.
Yeah, I kind of downplayed that part a little bit. So naturally, my background has been being a hotel concierge. So like I like to say is that I've always worked on the front lines of travel. I'm right there in the lobby, working with guests, welcoming them back in. And a few years ago, I actually ended up doing travel videos. And I was basically, what I like to say is I went beyond the desk, and I ended up doing a vlog, which has now grown into something much more. And I do travel videos around the world, but I started talking about things to eat, see, and do in Los Angeles because that was, where I'm based. And it was such a rewarding experience because all of a sudden I took all my knowledge in the traditional sense of what I was doing at the concierge desk, which I had done for years. And then I was bringing it to this different forum. And now I was contacting travelers and also locals as well, too, that were really looking to dig deeper. And that, by extension, made me a better concierge, a better hospitality professional, because all of a sudden I was playing in a completely different space. So it's been an exciting journey so far. And now, I do hospitality consulting, but I also do a lot of travel videos. And yes, you may have seen me on TV once or twice.
Yeah, absolutely. You do a great job on these videos that I've been watching. And, you've been on the Kelly Clarkson show.
Yeah.
You've been on Good Day LA. You've been featured in Reader Digest, Thrillist, New York Times. The list goes on and on. So I'm excited to talk to you about today's topic. And guys, by the way, comment and let us know where you're watching from. And I'm going to really quickly say good morning to everybody. There's a ton of people on. And please comment. And by the way, we're giving away, and Sarah's going to be giving away something special. So we're going to announce that a little bit. Yep. Anything?
No, I was excited. I was like, we're giving away.
Hey, good morning to Jeremy from Tampa, Elizabeth, Priscilla, Caroline, Shibu, Janine, Deborah. Hey, Sandra. Guys, good morning from Armenia, Chattanooga. Hey, good morning, Deepak, Alabama, Dubai. A lot of people from all over the place.
Love
North
that.
Dakota. I love that. Good morning, guys. Good morning to everybody here. Please comment and let us know. Guys, the most engaging person on the show today is going to win a $50 gift card to smartguests.com, and I'll explain the promo here in a second. And Sarah's giving away something special.
Yes, I am.
Sarah, tell us what you're giving away.
Okay, so I will be giving away free 30-minute consultation for hospitality consulting. So if you have a business, a hotel that you're looking to up your service standards, would be happy to chat with you about that, and we can figure out how to work together.
Absolutely. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to announce the winner at the end. One winner, the most engaging person here on this live episode, will be chosen. And I'm reading the comments over here too. So guys, good morning to everybody from Miami Beach, Quebec, ATL, South Carolina, Jersey, Ohio, Texas.
You just said ATL. I have to just acknowledge that, by the way. Love that. You just said ATL, which I have to acknowledge. That was kind of amazing.
Listen, I went to high school in ATL. It's ATL to me.
Wait, hold on. You did? I did too.
Did you? Oh, listen, after the show, we'll have to talk about our favorite pizza places and all of those things. All right. Nepal, guys, good morning. All right. So today's episode is brought to you by smartguests.com. They're giving away a $50 gift card at the end of the show. And keep your guests safe with communication tools. Smart Guests offers creative tools to improve operations, marketing, customer service, and guest feedback. Hit up Smart Guests, guys. You know what? Actually, go to smartguests.com in another tab and then save it, right? Save it, bookmark it, and that way you'll have it for later after the show, right? All right, so thank you so much to smartguests.com. All right, so every week, you're the co-host, so you have to chime in a lot, or I'm gonna just talk over you. Is that
That's
okay?
cool. That's cool.
Yeah. All right, so every week, Sarah, I talk about a mindset. And this morning, I actually posted up, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I did post up that happiness starts by getting rid of all the bullshit in your head.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that.
Agree.
100%. And, it's because I think so often, when people are unhappy, why are they generally unhappy? Because they have this sort of lack of control. They feel like they're not in control. So when you stop and you take stock of what's happening in your head, and we all know that we have all of these thoughts, and you clear the bullshit, you're taking control over your thoughts. And when you take control over your thoughts, you feel a little bit better. And it could be minor things, but you start to feel a little bit better because you start to feel a little bit more in control. And when you have that sense of control, and not in a control freak sort of way, but when you have that sense of control, you're happier because then you feel like you're in the driver's seat, because we all want to be in the driver's seat of our own life. And quite frankly, we are, but sometimes we just have to remind ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's, the stuff that you can't control, get all the stuff that you cannot control. Guys, if you agree, hit the like button and then comment and let us know if this is a mindset that you live by every single day, because I do. And I've had those negative thoughts in my head and that bullshit in my head that I had to get rid of, right? It was the stuff that I can't control. It's the negative stuff that was holding me back. And then just things that I wouldn't let go that wouldn't make me grow as a person. And I think that's powerful when you can understand that. You can step back, right? It's called clarity. You can step back and kind of understand why do you have these feelings and why are you holding them in, right? And same thing with like people too. It's the same concept, right? When you're talking about like this person is holding me back from this, right? Or this group of people that I've been hanging out with or whatever. I think that's powerful. You can kind of think at like a 30,000 foot overview and look down and like, yeah, I see that I'm holding all this negativity, and I think that's powerful for hospitality, right?
Perspective is everything. And I'm always sort of encouraging people that. And it's kind of funny that I love that you're bringing this up because, obviously, being having been a concierge and a hospitality professional, and sometimes I think people look to me to be like, oh, what's like the best restaurant to go to or this or that? And quite often, sometimes I talk about mindset, but so often that is mindset. And it starts with you at the desk. It also starts with the traveler as well, too. Travelers that freak out when things go wrong. And it's like, whoa, mindset shift. Be grateful that you're here. And it just changes everything. And again, I just love that you're bringing it up because it is something that, we can choose how we're approaching things. And perspective makes it a whole lot easier to digest and figure out the way to approach life, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And I think that's a way of life, like every single day. Get rid of all the crap that's like clogging your brain from thinking, moving forward. And
we have so much stuff in our brain.
Make you happier, right? Even if you just got rid of one thing today, I think it's powerful. Instead of like clearing your entire, because I read the comments and they're like, oh, it's easier said than done, right? Of course, I 100% agree, but you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start with one thing.
Well, and I think also, absolutely easier said than done. But what you said is start with one thing. You're not going to, oh, cool, I'm going to be happy today, just like the happy switch. It takes work and it's a journey. And there's also sometimes ups and downs. Like you go and you're on this like high and everything's great and working your way, but then it's how you figure out how to tap into the happiness when stuff doesn't seem to be going your way. And that's like where the good stuff happens.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that too. And it's a good habit for hospitality, especially for hospitality people, because you deal with so many different types of people walking into your hotel, and then you're working with too, and then vendors, and it keeps going. And you don't have that mindset and you start assuming things, you start putting all this bullshit that I can't talk about in your brain, you lose happiness, right? And
I think it also colors the interactions that you end up having as well too. I have many stories on this, but I'll keep this one super short. But I would work with a colleague of mine who always would come in and he'd be like a little grumpy or this, he'd have a bit of that angst that he would come in, and you better believe it. Every call that he picked up, he had somebody that was like complaining or had this crazy request and just was like, oh, why is this happening to me? Whereas I would come in and be like, wow, things are pretty good today. And it would just be pleasant interaction. And it starts from with what you're putting out there, and then you end up attracting it. And how cool do we get to be in these positions and interact with these hundreds of people a day, maybe now a little bit less, but that you can learn so much from these individuals. But if you have that happiness and that open mind, it's amazing who you'll just come across in one day. So, yeah.
Well, I love that we're talking about this, because a lot of people don't talk about, getting rid of that crap in your head. And let's move on. All right. So today's topic is the 10 traits of a great hotel front desk associate. Now, you've worked at the hotel front desk for a long time. You know that you have to deal with, like we said, coworkers and then guests, and be that person. And sometimes you have to flick a switch because we all have issues in our life, right? And you don't want to bring them to work, right? But there are habits when you come to work that are powerful. And I actually wrote an article that I got over 100,000 views. And if you guys want to follow along with this 10 topics or the 10 traits, let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
Here it is. If you go to my bit.ly short link, it is bit.ly/10 traits FD. You'll go to the page, and it shows you kind of the details of the article. But we're going to talk about them here today, Sarah. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so let's go into it, because most people, when they talk about the front desk, they just think that someone's checking somebody in, checking somebody out. And that's not the case, right? So people that are watching or that are interested in coming back to the industry or new to the industry, it's not just about front desk, checking people in, checking people out, but there's a whole, what do you say, world behind the front desk.
Yeah. Oh, there absolutely is. And I love, again, like that you're bringing this up because that checking somebody in, checking somebody out, that's the service aspect. That's the transaction aspect. And what we're going to kind of talk about is does go beyond that, because it's like, how do you make it have more substance? How do you create a relationship? How do you create engagement? And so, yeah, I don't know. Do you want to go into your first trait?
Yeah, but before I get into it, listen, there's no such thing as the perfect front desk associate. Like there's no such thing, right? And so I don't want people to say, oh yeah, what about all these other 100,000 things that they should have good traits on? We pick these because they are a good starting point for you. And there's no perfection at the front desk, right? Nothing's perfect. Like you didn't have a perfect shift. There's always something that happened, right? There's always a different day every single day, right, at your hotel. So these traits are merely to help you kind of grow. And so the first one is being empathetic and caring. Sarah, what does that mean?
Oh, goodness. I think this is probably one of the most important traits, because as you were kind of talking about the service aspect, it's like that transaction. This is where you get the humanity behind it. And this is where you can now make it a memorable experience. And so to have that empathy and that caring, by the way, we should also add on that it comes from a genuine place, because you want that to be a genuine, like you genuinely care. It's more than just like, did you have a great stay? And it's like, you're just kind of going through the questions in your front desk checklist, but it's like, you're listening to them. And then you're like, oh, you did. Oh, you slept really well. That's so great to hear. We love that you love the bed. We have a very comfortable beds, whatever the thing is. All of a sudden you're going above and beyond, and you're getting that human connection. And that really all stems from empathy and caring.
Yeah, 100%. And then, we're talking about empathy is like understanding how they're feeling. Mm-hmm. Like if they were mad about something, you have to understand exactly how they feel. Sarah, if I'm the guest and say, Sarah, you're working the front desk or even the concierge desk, listen, I didn't have a great stay last night. I'm staying here a week, but I didn't have a great stay my first night. My AC did not work the entire night, or it was noisy. Mm-hmm. You've been there before, right? When the AC doesn't work in your house or if in your hotel room that you rented, how do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like your first thing is that with empathy, I think to just describe it a little bit more is like being able to put yourself in that other person's shoes. And it's like, oh my gosh, what? Like and obviously you start with an apology, and that that's a whole technical thing, but being able to really understand their viewpoint is where you have the common ground, and that's where you meet. And from there, that's where you can get to resolutions. That's where you can start a relationship. I mean, quite frankly, some of the most important guest and front desk relationships start from a problem. And it was how well you were able to relate at that time, and then offer solutions. So empathy, it comes back down to the human element, and that's the key to hospitality. So service is the transaction, but hospitality is the human connection.
Right. And what are some words? I mean, I love that. I always say, actually, I use this every single day. I say, Mrs. Smith, I can understand how you feel, because if I was in your situation, I would be upset too. And when you can put yourself on their side instead of against them, it's a huge opportunity for you to win over their future business and fix their problem right now, because it's called recovery, right? Mm-hmm. And what are some words that can kind of help us when we're talking about caring and empathy that you use, that you like using?
That I like using. Oh my gosh, words that empathy and caring. I mean, so as far as like in an interaction, like what you were saying, like I understand.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's understand. You apologize. I'm sorry. I hear you, depending on what the language is. And it's, I think it really kind of starts with that, but then where do you take it in the next sentence? It's like, let me see what I can do for you, or how can I fix this for you? And I think so it kind of starts with that base that like, oh my goodness, I am in your shoes and I can feel you there. It also kind of reminds me of sometimes I'll take a step back, again, going back to perspective, which we talked about before, is, when you, because it's kind of easy to be like, oh gosh, another complaint, especially if you work at the front desk. That's all you handle all the complaints of the hotel. You're complaining about the restaurant. Why are you coming to me? Why are you not talking to the person in the restaurant? So you have to field all of these. And it's sometimes easy to get caught up in that and to just be like, you want to almost protect yourself by not engaging. But if you actually take a moment to stop and be like, wow, maybe this person saved up all year to go on this trip and now they're here. If I did that and I went on a trip and somebody responded to me in a abrupt way or didn't really have empathy, I'd be kind of turned off. So I try to really put myself in their shoes and think, I mean, this could be a monumental trip. This could also be a business trip. And it's just like, it's part of their regular routine. But if you look at it from a different lens, it makes it far easier to be empathetic.
Yeah, I'm watching the questions right now. I'm reading all the questions, and Jill, yeah, it's asking questions, and actually that's one of those top traits that we have on our list. So we'll definitely get to those. Mm-hmm. And then putting the ball in their court, Mrs. Smith, I can totally understand how you feel. What can we do to make sure that you leave us happy, that you're excited about coming back here, and then let them talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I love that. Let them talk. Exactly.
Yeah. My wife always tells me that I'm a crappy listener, which I am.
Wow. A lot of things that we could improve on. But listening is a huge part of it, because half the time people want to be heard, and if they feel heard, they feel like you relate to them. Even if in your mind, you're like, okay, I just have to hear them through. But if you actually hear them and then you repeat part of what they say, that's where it taps into being genuine and caring. Yeah. And this is not for today's topic necessarily, but also it's a little sort of like side note, because sometimes we have what I like to call them is sometimes we have a yeller. And so sometimes somebody that will be yelling will come to the desk. And again, that's always a key in working with somebody who's very upset, is stopping and listening, because it'll be twofold. A, you're showing that you care and you have empathy, but then B, they then get to hear themselves because you're not yelling against them, and they will start to calm themselves down. But that's a story for another day.
All right. So I got empathy, listening, genuine, caring. There's a lot that you can kind of tie into number one. All right. So number two is willing to go above and beyond. Right. Oh. There's so many times that it's kind of like going to, I'm just going to say their name, Walmart. You go to Walmart and you're like, hey, where is the dish soap? Where can I find the dish soap? And they're like, oh, it's just down there. Just go down there to the corner. It's right down there. Now, in the South, we have a company or a grocery store called Publix, and they're known for their customer service. They win awards every year because of their customer service. Anytime you go into a Publix store and you ask for something, not only do they say, yeah, it's on aisle 14, but let me show you exactly where it is. And they take you there, right? That's going above and beyond. And that's where hospitality, that's where you start in hospitality. It's not just showing them where it is. Oh, where's my room? It's just go up the elevator and it's like 4 floors down, just drive, make a left and then make a right and then make another left, past the pool and then go down the stairs. Instead, what if you just walked them all the way to their room? Mm-hmm. How awesome would they feel as far as service, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, because it is, and that's, to me, critical to any sort of, hospitality, customer service, is that willingness to go above and beyond. It's, again, as we mentioned it before, it goes beyond the transaction and it makes it personal. And then it's like, oh, let me go ahead and show you how to get to breakfast, as opposed to down the hall to the right. Maybe you don't necessarily say, oh, let me hold your hand when they're like, hey, where's the restroom? Okay, maybe you let them do that on their own. But it's like if they're trying to go to, where breakfast is, or if they want to know where the pool is, or even if, and this gets a little bit more specific, but, how do I get to the golf course? And it's like, oh, let me actually print out directions for you. So it is just taking that next step, listening to what they're saying, acknowledging it, and then offering them a tool or to help them to then to just show that you are willing to go above and beyond. And it doesn't need to be monumental. It can just be a small thing.
Yeah, and this is how you stand out above your competition. And this is what people remember. It's not like you just gave them something and that was it, but you took that extra step, right? To make it extra special or make it special.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't have to make it extra. You don't have to go carry their luggage into their car and then all of those things if you're not a full service hotel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you could do little things that people really appreciate, right? Mm-hmm. And I think in the article I said, or maybe it was the next thing, but no, it was the next thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it's going above and beyond. It's doing those things that you didn't expect. And then it's a surprise, because I like the surprise and delight part about hotels too, right? So, man, I can't even start posting all the comments.
No,
just go through all the comments. There's like so many comments that people are posting on being genuine and just going above and beyond. And they're saying Nordstrom provides this fantastic training where they do this exact same thing. Disney does the same thing. There's a lot of companies out there that go and show you how to go above and beyond. Yeah. And there's so many actually resources online right now. If you follow one of my friends, Shep Hyken, he has a whole thing on just going above and beyond. So that is number 2. All right, so we're talking about the 10 traits of a great hotel front desk associate. And the third one is the ability to anticipate guests' needs. Now, Sarah, working at the concierge desk, you know exactly what that means. It's
Absolutely.
You hear it every single day. And how do you kind of anticipate people's needs when they're talking about one thing and they're like, oh, did you also, how does that work?
And that is what that is. So, I mean, here's the thing. If you are connecting with somebody on the human level, you know that if they ask for one thing, that most likely you want to think 2-3 steps ahead of them and then offer them, whatever it is. Like, we can again go back to the idea of directions that they're talking about. Oh, we want to do like a morning workout at a local park. Oh, great. And you're talking about it, and you offer the directions before they even ask for them. So it's almost, we know the general, and this would be to make it on a very like simple level, but we know the general series of questions that people are going to ask. And so to be able to be like, okay, we have a feeling that they're probably going to ask this down the line, or maybe they might not ask it. But if you go that 2-3 steps beyond and you offer, that is, it changes everything. And all of a sudden they feel heard. They feel like it's a genuine connection. They feel the empathy, and you now have something that's far more than transactional. You have the start of a relationship. And I think that that's what makes it, that's what makes the hotel experience so special, is that you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm home.
Yeah, absolutely. One example I've learned in the past like 10 years is like even a simple thing is like, oh, I have my family here and I have little ones. So they requested what's that? I have 3 kids and I can't remember what the bed's called. What's the bed called when you guys come in?
A crib?
A crib.
Oh my God. Okay.
Right, so you're at the front desk. Your guest requests a crib. I was like, "What's that bed called?"
What's the bed for a baby called? Well,
a crib, right? So what you can do when you're anticipating their needs is also, Mrs. Smith, I see that you have young kids. Are you going to require some warm milk in the morning, or can I offer to give you a pint of milk for tomorrow morning? And that's like anticipating that what they would have had to run out for in the morning to go get for their kids. Because I know how that feels. Like when in the morning you're like, oh no, we don't have a fridge in our room, and we need milk, and it has to be warm, and we need a microwave, and all of those things. You can anticipate all of that stuff in the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And that all goes down to like empathy and how they feel. And as a father, I kind of understand how they feel, but if we can think of those things.
Once you get past remembering what a crib is, yes.
Everyone's laughing at me. I'm sorry, guys.
It's great, though.
So I think there's an opportunity when we're talking about anticipation and kind of giving something a little bit extra, right? Beyond what they actually want.
That special sauce. It's that special sauce that's like, oh, wow. And you know what it is? It's suggesting something that they might not even realize they need. When you do that, you've got a guest for life, because they're like, wow, they were like doing the thinking for me. So yeah.
Can you give us an example of something that you kind of had in the past where you're like, or something that you've experienced at a hotel where you kind of anticipated their need, or they anticipated your need? Can you think of something real quick?
Oh gosh. I have to say, I love the example that you gave as far as the family with the warm milk in the morning, because also you're tapping in on so many things, because you're tapping into, like, you're caring about their family, you're caring about their kids. And that is like the next level.
Brownie point.
So I think a lot of it is, picking up and reading who they are. And I think actually it's really important when it comes to families, because that traveling with a family is generally, there's a lot of moving parts and it can be very stressful. So, whether it is seeing that they're coming in with oh, do you need a roll away? But then even asking for a wake up call, that's actually one very simple but great example. Oh, you have a conversation. They're talking about their flight in the morning. So a guest comes to you to find out, okay, my flight leaves at 6:30 a.m. What time should I leave the hotel? Oh, this 4:30 a.m. Oh, wow, that's going to be early. Would you like a wake up call? And next thing you know, they're like, yes, I would. So it's a simple thing that they might not be talking about that in particular. And then depending on your hotel and what you can offer, you can be like, did you also want to go ahead and arrange breakfast? So now you're not just doing the wake up call, but now you're suggesting that. And they're like, wow, you're helping me plan my morning. So there's simple things. They don't have to be overly complicated, but they really resonate with people.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example. Like, do you need breakfast in the morning? Do you need your bags weighed? Do you need a shuttle scheduled? Do you need, all of these things that you start stressing about? Like when you're trying to catch a flight, you're like, is my bag too heavy? Now I have to wait in line, all these other things. If you can think beyond that by anticipating, I think it makes a huge difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're gonna go to the next one. Number 4 is engaging and being inquisitive. What does that mean?
Oh goodness! And this is where the good stuff happens. And I like that we're talking about inquisitive. So engaging is that, again, it's more that you start having a real conversation, and that's where you find out things about somebody that you might find out. Oh wow, they share in an answer something about Star Wars, and next thing you know, you find out that they're a Star Wars fan, and you can send something up to the room that's based off of that. But by being engaging and inquisitive, if you ask somebody questions, that shows that you care about them. It also makes them feel important. So obviously in hospitality, there's a fine line. Like, you don't want to ask too many questions, because there is an element that people want to have their privacy. But being, inquisitive, it ends up starting a relationship, and it just makes them feel good as well.
Yeah. It feels like they actually care. Mm-hmm. When you're asking questions. And I actually came up with, so I stayed at the, was it Ritz-Carlton 4 Seasons? It was Ritz-Carlton Miami, like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I came up with 17 questions that they asked me before I checked in.
Yeah.
Like during my check-in process. It was like, I don't think it was 17, but it was a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. So a week later, I called them and I was like, hey, you guys asked me some great questions. Do you have like a service training packet that you can send me on the questions that you asked? Because I couldn't remember them all, right?
Oh, no.
They're like, no, that's proprietary to our operations. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to keep staying there and write all these down. So I actually, if you just type in Google 17 questions to ask at check-in, I have a list of questions that I put together after staying there and calling them 100 times and put this list together, because you have to be inquisitive. You have to ask questions and show that you care, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the traits of a great front desk person. You're asking questions like, I see that you're from LA, Sarah. I've never been there before. How's the weather? I hear LA weather's either good or bad, and I've always heard the smog is kind of crazy. How is it right now?
Exactly. And it's a great way to start that conversation, is that you pick up on the little details. Oh, they just flew in. It's like, oh, where did you fly in from? New York. Great. And now you can have this conversation. Oh, I love New York. I used to live in New York. And next thing you know, you have immediately started a conversation, which starts a rapport. And especially at the front desk. And this is why this is so important, is that the front desk, quite often, depending on the property, you might have a bellman or a doorman, sure, or even valet. But the front desk, they're the first the first sort of real interaction that a guest has with a property, and also arguably the last interaction as well too. So it's so important because how you ask those questions sets the tone for the rest of their stay.
I definitely agree. All right, so number 5, we're halfway through our list, Sarah.
Yes, we are.
Number 5, and these next few we're gonna fly by because I did promise 45 minutes of the show and no more. So hopefully we can knock these out. The next one's calm and composed.
It's important. You have to be. We were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but being calm and composed. I mean, here's the thing. I always like to refer to, the front desk as being kind of like the heart of the hotel. It's the heartbeat of the hotel. Everything that is coming in and out of the hotel. You're dealing with not only guests, but you're dealing with other departments. You might be dealing with housekeeping. You might be dealing with room service, engineering, upper management. There's a lot that's happening. You also have emails coming in. You've got phone calls coming in. There's a lot that you're juggling, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed. But if you stay calm and composed, again, it kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier, as far as you have that sense of control, and it can be crazy at times, but if you stay calm and composed, you'll be able to think clearer and solve those problems in a more efficient manner.
Yeah, and take these 10 traits, and you can ask the questions when you're hiring somebody, like, what would you do? Sarah, I'm trying to hire you, and I say, Sarah, what would happen if you have like fires going over here, your guests are upset over here, and how would you react when you're in that position, right? And based on what you say, Sarah, I would be like, oh, this person really knows and can multitask, and you can kind of understand how they react to that question, right? Mm-hmm. And so some of these questions could be good hiring process questions when you're trying to figure out if they're the right fit for your hotel. And being calm and composed is a lot. And there are days when it's crazy and you don't want to feel calm because you have problems at home that you've kind of blocked out now, but you have problems here at work, and you're like, oh my God, did that person actually do that? And you want to just go out there and like choke them, but you can't, right?
Yeah.
You have to be that calm and composed person where you understand and kind of go back to the empathetic feeling and caring feeling, like, listen, I can't take this personally.
Yeah. You can. And then also recognizing the situation too. I mean, the number of times that, I've been standing there at the desk, and it's like all of a sudden you look up and you're like, oh my gosh, there's 10 people waiting in line to talk to me. And you're like, that can be overwhelming. But what are you going to do? You can't start rushing through your interaction. Yeah. I think that's also another thing is that the guests are there too. They see the situation. And if a guest sees, wow, that was intense, or they had a lot of people in front of them, and if they see you, you don't have to take an overly obvious deep breath, but if you take a breath, and you just continue to go through and don't rush individuals, they acknowledge that, and they're like, wow, that front desk agent was really good under pressure. And it's just, they're like, it's okay. There are people waiting, but we'll get to them when we get to them. You smile, you acknowledge, and then you continue on with what you're doing at the time. And people pick up on that.
Yeah, 100%. And guests actually can feel how you feel too, even if you're not saying it or expressing it. Like, they know you're stressed out. So if you can stay calm and let everybody know, guys, we're really busy tonight, and is it okay if I just take a little bit of time, make sure that each one of you get the proper attention? And if you can let everybody know that, I think that breaks down like the ice, and it makes everybody feel calm that I'm gonna get taken care of, instead of just like rushing through everybody and making everybody feel like they were just a number.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, and you're acknowledging the situation, which is also part of it as well too. We're all human, where somebody doesn't necessarily have had to work at a hotel to understand what it's like to be under pressure. So if you acknowledge the situation, it's like, oh, there's a lot of people right now, but I'll be getting to you momentarily, and you kind of have that attitude about it. They're like, okay, she's doing the best she can. Yeah, might you have somebody that gets grumpy about it? You're always going to have that person, but if you at least address it in a positive way and you acknowledge the situation, I think that really that also takes a lot of the edge off.
Definitely. All right, number 6 is smiling. Always smiling. And Sarah, I see that you have a great smile in all your videos. You're always smiling. That's part of the job in hospitality. You don't want to walk into a hotel and see grumpy people. all over the place, and because it kills your vibe, right? It kills my vibe when I see people upset around me.
Totally. And that's the key to hospitality, making somebody feel comfortable and nice. And as they say, I mean, gosh, they've done studies, is that like if you actually make yourself smile, you start to feel better as well too. So it's a great habit to be in.
Yeah, and guys, just smile. Life is difficult, but if you can smile, you'll make other people feel special too. And I like that you can just with a quick smile. People know how you feel, right? And I think that's a great trait. All right, number 7 is knowledgeable about the local area. Now, if you just moved to the area and you just started the hotel, your hotel position, go learn, ask other associates, ask what's popular in the area, read some reviews, go to Yelp, go to TripAdvisor and find out what's hot in the market, right? If you're brand new. Now, if you're old, and you've been there for a long time, this is like you were raised in wherever, Miami or in LA, like you already know the hot spots, but get to know them even more and then know other new hot spots or trendy spots. What do you recommend when you're talking about understanding about your local area?
Well, and I think also to even just bring it back to just the realness of it as well too, because sometimes somebody might be like, oh gosh, but I don't eat at those restaurants or I don't go to those clubs. Like, how am I going to know that? Bring it down to what's the day-to-day stuff that you will get asked. Where's the local CVS or pharmacy? Where's like the fastest way to, where's a local park? I want to go take my kid to go for, to go play outside. It's those, where's the closest grocery store? Knowing those, which, they might not be glamorous to know where but if you know that and you can easily describe that for individuals, that just shows that knowledge. And those are those are important things that people need. The local florist, you name it. There's a lot of those. But it just helps give people a sense of that you're there as well too, that, you're there to be that guide for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about, knowing the local market, we talked about Publix. Like Sarah, if you ever come to Orlando, I will take you to Publix. You'll see the difference, right? In your shopping experience.
I love Publix.
Right. And so that's what we talk about when you're talking about not just the business. Oh yeah, there's a great pizza place, but try that pizza place and don't forget to try their garlic knots because they're out of this world, right? If you know that kind of knowledge instead of just knowing, yeah, there's like 3 pizza places around here, but you go that one extra step. Remember, we're talking about above and beyond. I think that makes a huge difference. We're talking about a great front desk associate, right? Knowing your stuff
also takes it to, a big topic that had been going on prior to the pandemic, but it's certainly now very much in our face, is understanding the use of technology and how to still keep that human connection, because anybody can Google something, so, but it's like, how can you have that personal, you can provide that personal recommendation and show that, the human element is actually more important than Google. And so that's why it's also important as well too.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So know your local market. If you don't, you're missing out on a huge opportunity as a front desk associate. All right. The next one is be resourceful. What does that actually mean? Be resourceful.
Oh, well, by the way, and I was holding myself on this one because I think that a lot of that has to do with what you were kind of talking about before, as far as like being knowledgeable about your local area. But being resourceful for me is everything, because at the end of the day, you're not going to know everything. Somebody's going to ask you a question and you're like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. Or I don't even know what that is. Or what's a XYZ type of oyster. And you're like, I have to find this. They're craving this, whatever that request might be. Being resourceful is not about knowing all the answers right away, but it's about having the attitude to be like, I don't know that, but I'm going to go ahead and find out for you. That simple phrase has gotten me through so many things. And because it just shows that willingness to learn and find out. And guests are so responsive to that because they feel understood. They also, now you've given importance to their request or their question, which makes them feel even better as well too. And it's just, again, you don't have to know the answer right away, but you just have to know how to be able to find the answer.
Yeah. And I was thinking, because I've asked a bunch of concierge and people, front desk hosts or front desk associates questions. And a lot of times, like, I don't know, let me look it up. But if they would have said something different, like, oh my God, that's a great, like no one's ever told us that, like brought this up. Like, I think there's an opportunity that other guests would like to know this too. Great question. Is it okay if I call you back in like 10 minutes? Max 10 minutes, I'll call you right back. Or I'll connect with you or communicate with you however you do it at your hotel. But I think that's a great opportunity for you to feel like, make them feel special that they asked this one question that no one's ever brought up, and then other people would like to find that valuable too. That makes me feel special as far as like, being resourceful and then going out and finding it, and then maybe you can call your competition if you have to, or whatever you're not just saying no, because there's always an answer for everything, right?
Exactly. And that's the whole thing is that never, I mean, gosh, if you just say no, the conversation just ends right there. Hey, how often have we ever been to anywhere? It could be a hotel, but even we can go back to the grocery store. And it's like, hey, do you know where the XYZ is? And they're like, no. And then there's this awkward silence, like,
okay.
All right, can I help you with that or what? Like, the conversation doesn't end there. It doesn't, like, it's like, no, let me, it's like, oh, I don't know, but let me go ahead and find out for you. And obviously taking it a step further where it's like you give them a sort of expectation as far as that turnaround time that you'll get that answer for them is always the extra juice on that. But yeah, no, you don't let the conversation end there.
Yeah, even if it's like an hour because you're so busy, you have like 100 check-ins. It's okay to say, Sarah, is it okay if I call you back in about maybe 45 minutes? Like we're totally sitting there, I'm by myself. Is it okay if I call you back? And if you leave that question to them to answer, like no, then you get to get it done right now. But typically, it usually works out where they're okay with it.
Totally.
And this is an opportunity for you to be resourceful and go out and get that, or take care of your guests that are in front of you, right? Next one, my family thinks I'm crazy because I have so much energy, and it's called being energetic, right? Every single day. And I apologize to you guys. I'm crazy. But I'm energetic, and that's the way I've always been. And I think hospitality people need to be that way because it's a long day. You might be working a double shift. I've worked triple shifts before. And yeah, I've done the morning shift, the afternoon, evening shift, and then overnight because somebody called out and I had to work it. Yeah, I might have been sleeping. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, of course. But I think with the energy, and yeah, believe me, we've all been there where we've worked 8 hours, 10 hours, 16 hours standing on our feet, and it is hard. But being energetic, again, it kind of adds to that whole shift of a lot of the key traits that we've talked about is that, and even going back to your original question, happiness. Like if you're kind of like energetic, you're more apt to be happy because you're active, you're physical, not like within a fidgety sort of way, but that you're there and you're very present. And I think that's also what it kind of has to do with is that being energetic is that you're present in the moment.
Yeah, and you bring energy to what you're doing and to everybody else around you, to other associates, which is awesome too. Like you're not just that one person like, oh God, here he comes or here she comes. But like, I can't wait to work with this person because they're so awesome. Like they're ready to dig a ditch with me.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And I love that when we're hiring or have associates working for us, or we're the associate, that we have to bring that energy to our shift or to our hotel. And this goes for everybody. It's not just the front desk. It's for back of house. It's for F&B. It's for pretty much everybody. You have to be energetic and you have to show that with that smile, right? So,
well, it's a physical job, what we do. It's physical, it's emotional. So it's, you have to come into it, like ready for the day and to take it on. And so you need to have energy for that.
Yeah. Monique says energy is contagious. It definitely is. It definitely is. All right, good. So guys, all right, we're almost done. We have last one, drum roll. Before I say number 10, and I think it's a good one, please comment if you would like to win the $50 gift card to smartguests.com and a 30-minute free consultation with Sarah, the hospitality expert here. And she might even get you on a TV show. I'm just kidding.
I'm just kidding. Now you're testing my concierge skills. All right. I got this.
All right, so number 10 is a great ambassador to your hotel. Now, what does that mean, actually?
Well, it's twofold. And really, I think it comes down to ownership and having that sense of ownership that you don't just work at the hotel, but you're part of the hotel experience.
Yeah.
And it goes within the hotel, but it also goes outside of the hotel because as we know, the world is very, very small. You can be outside. It's very, very common, for example, that people that work in hospitality, you might get together with other coworkers. You might want to have a drink at the local bar across the street. That, keep in mind, like you represent the hotel, especially as a front desk agent. You are the face of the hotel because when they come in, you are the first face that they see. When they leave, you are the last face that they see. So you have to understand that you are an ambassador, and with that, and take pride in that. And you have an ownership that you are part of the experience. And that's so important.
Yeah. And I think that you're connected to the hotel, even though you don't own it, you are still a connection to that hotel. So if you're going to industry night and you're drunk, that's a representative of how they're like, oh, that's how they do it at that hotel, right? And I think that's a bad reflection on the hotel itself. And then yourself, this is, like you were saying, this is a small industry. Like a lot of people know each other, a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I've seen that so many times, almost every single day. Like, oh, you know him? Oh yeah, we've known each other for years, right? And I Sarah, I guarantee that we have a lot of connections in common too. So
totally. Well, and going on with the ambassador, just quick thing, because I know we're tight on time, but going on with the ambassador is that how often have we heard at the front desk that they're like, I came back because you work here. And because you are an ambassador of the hotel, it's going back to those connections, those relationships. You are the special, ingredient that gets people coming back. Because sometimes people are like, I can get a bed anywhere. I can get 4 walls anywhere. I get, but it's the service that really is what makes them have a special connection to that property. So if you embrace being an ambassador, that's all about guest retention right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, these are the top 10 traits for a great front desk associate. Sarah, this has been awesome. Kind of tell us a little bit about your background. And guys, if you loved this episode, please hit the like button and comment that you did like it. Maybe I can force Sarah to come back on the show.
Maybe. I love it. It's great. Well, I have energy like you, so I'm down to get up early.
No. I really appreciate it. This has been like awesome. I've written down a bunch of notes, and I guarantee that all our viewers have done the same, where they're taking these tidbits and making their hotel better or making themselves better. And then guess what? Making their team better too, because it's not just about our individual self, but it's about growing your entire team. And I think these 10 tips have been super useful. Sarah, where can people find you and how can people connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am all over the internets, as you like to say, Rupesh. You can find me on my website at askaconcierge.tv, but I'm also on social media at Ask a Concierge. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then LinkedIn. If you want to connect here, I'm Sarah Dandashy.
Yep. All right. Well, Sarah, it's been a pleasure having you on. And guess what? Now it is time to announce the big winner. And I've been like doing 100 other things, but I've been reading the comments. And this week's winner is Adele Gutman, Milne. Sorry, Milne. I'm really butchering your name. You've had some really good comments on the post, guys. Everybody, please comment and congratulate Adele for winning the grand prize. $50 gift card to Amazon, or not Amazon, $50 gift card to smartguests.com. And guys, hit up Smart Guests. Thank you so much for sponsoring this show and this episode. Sarah, let's do this again.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on. We'll talk to you guys soon. Guys, take care of each other. Take care of your team. And we'll talk to you next week. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Sarah, stay on. Talk after.